sisters, we've all turned up the radio to hear Brother Jimmy Lakey, from coast to coast and shore to shore. Now raise your voice, oh let us all, Jimmy Lakey, get out of bed, Jimmy Lakey, raise your voice, Jimmy Lakey, Lakey, hey, can't live without it with Jimmy Lakey, Jimmy Lakey.
Well, that's me, my friends. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's didn't change it on the show sheet. I hope producer Chad figures it out. But today is actually Friday, December the 12th, year of our Lord, 2025. Our show sheet says Thursday. That's wrong. It's incorrect. That's just a little bit of the detail that we put out there, kind of a rundown of what we're going to talk about on the program. But good to have everybody here on this glorious day the Lord has made. Glorious day in Colorado. Yesterday was in the 60s degrees. I know some of you were in the deep freeze of the hell of winter. But so far, we had the winter while I was gone to Africa, and now we're in a very mild conditions, which I really do appreciate the mildness and the good Lord heard my prayer. I'm sure a deep freeze is coming our way here in Colorado, and I hope to not be here for it. Thank you, and you are welcome. All right, let's go to some stories of the news today. First of all, let us always know where you're listening at. If you're new to the show, every platform that you're on, whether you're on the YouTube or many of the Facebook feeds or the Twitter, the X, the Rumble, we see those comments. YouTube, we post them up. You post them up on the chat room or the comment section, and most of those show up in the platform. There's a couple of streams that I don't think could coordinate with us, but love to have you communicate with us. Coming up, big-time guest Eric Weir is going to be with us. Who Stole My Pie? That's going to be with us. Salvador Litvak, our great filmmaker friend. We're talking about some great topics. Salvador Litvak coming on, and Sherry Krieg going to be back on the show with us as well. So you don't want to miss it, a full cast of characters. Good morning to everybody. I'm Jimmy, unleashed from the confines of corporate radio. And now for a year, we've been doing this little streamcast, broadcast, and podcast all wrapped up in one loving little package with one little fuzzy little fellow like myself as your gift. And I'm happy to be here with you every morning. All right, Donald Trump has pardoned Tina Peters. Anybody from Colorado knows who Tina Peters is. She's become a national news story as well. Now, what does this mean on the day-to-day life of Tina Peters? Maybe not much. Her felony charge is a state charge in the state of Colorado. You may recall that President Trump a few months ago had said, please release Tina Peters immediately into federal custody and let us handle this from here. Our tyrannical governor, Jared Polis, one of the most worthless and feckless governors you will ever find in the history of humanity, probably, especially the state of Colorado. He says, no, we're going to keep torturing this woman, and she's being beat up in prison. Lots of horrible stories happening, and all because in her mind, she tried to save an election or bring some truth to the election. Nevertheless, does the crime, if you think she committed one, fit the punishment when we have so many illegal, violent criminals that should have been locked up long ago under Jared Polis? They have been allowed to walk the street, but Jared Polis loves the violent criminals. He loves the illegals that come over that don't get put in jail, but he loves to punish people like Tina Peters. That shows the evil in the heart and the humanity of Jared Polis, our governor. And the fact that Donald Trump puts out a pardon is quite interesting. Democrats have relentlessly targeted Tina Peters. They forget the criminals that do petty thefts on the street. They forget the criminals that commit assault. They have no bail laws. They let them walk the streets of Colorado, another cesspool of Democrats' hell. And yet they want Tina Peters locked up in prison, and a 72-year-old woman who's a Gold Star mom. It is pathetic, but it shows you that the Democrat Party is not a party of philosophy. It's a party many times of just evil. It's a party of vindictiveness. It's a party not of justice, but it's a party of revenge. And that's what you're seeing happening this week. Donald Trump has issued a pardon. And the reason for the pardon is that Tina Peters was the witness, according to Joe Hoft. He writes this, to the most serious crime perpetrated against the U.S. in history after the 2020 election, when Tina Peters discovered the election results in her county had changed after the system update was performed, which was mandated by the Colorado Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold. She notified authorities and the public of her findings. Tina Peters saved a copy of the election results before the update in accordance with state and federal law, and for doing so, she was in prison for 9 years, and she was in prison for doing her job. President Trump has issued a pardon. Not that it's going to, I think, change the day-to-day recommendation for Tina Peters, because Jared Polis is a man driven by evil, but it is a it is an example that this woman really did nothing wrong. Now, there's some story that she let somebody have a key to a building or some. Again, the ultimate thing is we have so many loose on crime policies in Colorado with Jared Polis and Democrats, and they don't seem to want to punish anybody. But you have a woman that's at least saying, "Hey, could we look into this thing about elections in 2020? Could we look into why this update changed the voting records that I have record of? Why did that happen?" And for that, she was said, "You're making illegal copies of stuff." In other words, Jenna Griswold and the evil forces that run the state of Colorado have all decided that that Tina Peters was calling attention to something that maybe we should pay attention to. Trump has issued a pardon. Mostly it's symbolic, but good for President Trump. And let's all remember Tina Peters in our prayers as she faces political persecution, as if she's in some Chinese gulag or Russian gulag, all because of Jared Polis and Jenna Griswold. That's what Tina Peters faces today, and she continues to face it. All right, glad to have you here on the program. It says, "Hey, I'm vertical again on YouTube." I don't control that. Do we control that, producer? I don't think we control that. Yeah, well, I don't know. There's a button there. I don't touch buttons, sir. Sir, I don't touch buttons. Leave me alone. No. What else we got in the news? We got Trump pardons Tina Peters. Anybody mailing a Christmas card? We talked about this week. How many of you still mail Christmas cards? And we talked about the Laura Carno. How many of you still do the Christmas letters? Well, there's a story out that is this one of those dying traditions in America? I don't know. If you ask people in July if they were thinking about sending a holiday card, a lot of people say, "Yeah, I'm going to do that." But if you cut to today, most Americans say, "Oh, crap, I don't think so." They interviewed, a new poll interviewed 13,000 people and asked if they're going to mail Christmas cards this year, and 27% said yes. Another 12% say they usually do, but we're not going to this year. 58% said no. Another 3% said, "I'm not sure," which is also a no at this point. The demographic most likely to send them are the boomers age 65 and older that live in the Northeast. Gen Zers in the South are the least likely to do it. People will also ask how they feel about receiving other Christmas cards. 30% say they love it, 30% say they like it, 31% say they're neutral, and 3% say they don't like it, including 1% who claim they hate getting their Christmas cards. Scrooges. They all are. Turns out young people enjoyed getting them as much as anyone else. But there is a split between men and women. 39% of women love it, compared to 21% of men who absolutely love it. And 5% of men dislike it, compared to, say, 2% of women. So only 27% of a cross-section of America are sending out Christmas cards this year, and the lion's share of those are coming from an elderly or older 65-plus community. Is that one of the traditions that will go away? Now, I know some people have tried to get to email. Sometimes on Christmas morning, if I check my email, you will get some people that will send you a digital email card. And honestly, it's not the same. Don't do it. It's just not worth it. If you want to text me Merry Christmas, first of all, don't put it on a text chain. I don't want to be in a group text of Merry Christmas. Send me an individual text of Merry Christmas, and that's very kind of you to do so. But when all day long you text message 50 or 20 of your closest friends and you tell us all Merry Christmas very generically, it's not heartfelt. Don't do that, because all day long I've got a bunch of strangers pinging my phone on Christmas Day. If you're going to text people, you need to make sure you do it correctly. You need to make sure you know the rules of texting and the protocols of texting, especially when it comes to the group text. Mail me a Christmas card. I love to do it. We hang them up on the around the mantle, usually around the mantle of the fireplace with the main living area, and we will put your Christmas card on display if we like you. If there's somebody we don't know, that's kind of creepy. I put up a Christmas card. The insurance guy sends me a card and it goes up somewhere. That's I like them. I don't mind them at all. Now this year I don't think I will. It's just my son and I, and some cheesy, picture artwork. We usually just did family photos, but now that my son's away at college, there's just not as much activity for him, football activities. And so it's just basically, I go to fly out to see him at college. We pose for a photo when he's in his football uniform or shirts, and I take a photo of him at dinner, and that's it. So, anyway, good to have all of you here on the show. Jimmy is my name. Pleasured, pleased, and thrilled for each of you to be here. 27% of Americans say they're going to send their Christmas cards this year. Now, I do have another thing about traditions that may be going bye-bye. This is, again, it's Friday. Everybody lighten up. I know it's a Christmas season. I know you got a lot of stuff in Washington, but we can have a little fun here, right? People online are predicting that there's some traditions in America that could be fading away in coming decades. And looking at the numbers, I'm wondering if the mailing of Christmas cards, by and large, could be going away in coming weeks. And so one of the comments you can make in the chat rooms today is, if I name some of these, which ones would you be happy to see go? And which ones would you think is a bummer if they died out? If Christmas cards became no longer a vogue thing and they're sending or receive them, would you be celebrating? Would you care? Would it matter to you? Or would it be a bummer and you would always reminisce, I remember the day they used to send us Christmas cards in the mail, and no one does that anymore. So here's another one, the one that pops up on the list of things that could be going away, a trend. Someone says that social media has rendered class reunions irrelevant, but social media also keeps people connected with classmates more, and some people may be more likely to go because of it. But some people say class reunions, as we all know, are a big deal now, but they're not going to be a big deal in the future. They're going to fade away because people say, I already know about their life. I already heard about their kids and grandkids because I watched them on the Facebook, or I saw it on the Instagram. I don't care. I'm not going to go to the reunion. So I've been to a couple of my reunions. I think I went to my 10-year and 20-year. And that was it. The 10-year was well attended. Everybody was still there. You still have metabolism at that point. You're still looking good. At that point, you're a couple of years out of college. You're new in your career. You're still in your late 20s, and you've got all the vitality in the world. And you're just more of a kind of a grown-up, more mature, responsible, and legal drinker at that point as well, of your version in high school. By the time I went to my 20th reunion, that was nice. It was fun. It was okay. It was good. It was well attended as well. And then I skipped, I think, the 30. I didn't do that one. I think that's where we're at now. But anyway, class reunions could be going away. Is that going to bum you out? Some people say that trick-or-treating is also going to go away on Halloween because there's so much emphasis now on this dumb thing called trunk or treating, where they line up in the park and you get candy out of a trunk. I think that's creepier than knocking on someone's door. But social media says limited to the best neighborhoods, the average Joe kid walking up to your street to trick-or-treat in the future could be going away. Now, here's one that I think could go away, and I've never done one, never attended one, and I probably would deny the invitation if I ever got one. An American tradition that has grown quite large in the last few years, but has not gone, I don't find it that exciting, are massive gender reveal events. Not just because it's of catching things on fire, or these bloopers that they blow up the wrong way, but some people say people just say reputation wise, people don't like slicing into a cake to see a color size or watch you pop a balloon and see what kind of powder. People are just over it. And if you want to do one, it's a little bit narcissistic. It's a little bit of self-serving. People are already going to have to attend your wedding, your baby shower. They're going to have to attend the bridal, all that stuff. We don't want to have to go to a gender reveal party. And so people think that that is going to be a trend that dies. Now, one more I give you on this list, and you tell me, American traditions like Christmas cards that seem to be fading is Black Friday. Now, you remember Black Friday. You and I might remember together that there was big fights, always a fight in the Target or the Kmart or the Walmart. Somebody was duking it out over a Cabbage Patch doll or the last Tonka truck. There was always the television sets that were, $1.99 for a television. People fought over that. And you just don't get the fighting anymore. You don't get the WWE, WWF knockdown dragouts on Black Friday. Black Friday, in my estimation, has lost its muster. Part of that is because of the advent of online shopping, Amazon, etc. People can just log on and buy stuff, have it delivered. You don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. for the doorbuster the sale at 5 a.m. I remember people that did that. I know people that would wake up and try to get all the sales. They had their strategic map of which stores they were going to for the store that's opened up at, Kohl's would open up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. People do it. But Black Friday, as we used to know it, the pre-holiday deals and the post-holiday deals have maybe made the old Black Friday getting, people fighting at the Best Buy, people fighting at the Target over the Cabbage Patch. Those days seem to be gone, and that is gone. So what are some American traditions that maybe you think are going by the wayside and probably not going to be is relevant in years past. A couple of you are commenting on the reunions. Reunions are funny. People look at you and say, who did you used to be? I haven't been to one in a long time. Our class reunion attendance has increased because of connecting on social media. That may be true. Could be true. So, what are some traditions that could go bye-bye in the future in America? And if these traditions go bye-bye, will something else replace them? All right. What else do we have in the news? We have the 27% of Americans are going to mail Christmas cards this year. We have the pardoning of Tina Peters happening, and also this morning a breaking news story is that the Navy has now submitted a report on possible punishment for Senator Mark Kelly. Now, here's the latest that we know. The U.S. Navy has submitted a report on possible punishments for Democrat from Arizona, Senator Mark Kelly, over his recent video with other Democrat traitors and seditious behavior. I added that part to it, where they told U.S. service members to disobey illegal orders. The report, which was ordered by the Department of Defense and referred to the Navy, has now been sent to the Pentagon's Office of General Counsel, according to thehill.com. In a statement to the outlet last night, Kelly's spokesperson said, "It defies belief that with all the threats facing our country, Pete Hegseth initiated a ridiculous process to try to intimidate Senator Kelly for saying something Pete Hegseth himself has said repeatedly." Kelly, also a former astronaut, I think the anti-gravity affected his brain and his character. He retired from the Navy with the rank of captain. He has deployed twice to the Persian Gulf. He has also worked as an instructor at the Naval Pilot School. The lawmakers did not specify which illegal orders the Trump administration may have given to the U.S. forces. All 6 of the Democrats in the video had either military or intelligence background. A lot of folks say some of them had CIA background, and this was a CIA operation. This is how the CIA operates. So this was an undermining of the chain of command. This was an undermining of the constitutional authority given to the commander-in-chief. Mark Kelly was seditious in his behavior, and I hope he's punished for it, and I hope he's punished to the full extent of the law. Now, will he be? I don't know. I don't know what's in the referral from the U.S. Navy, but at least in his heart, Mark Kelly did a very evil and nasty thing here. Kelly said in a previous statement, "I've given too much to this country to be silenced by bullies who care more about their power and their own power than protecting the Constitution." I would argue, Mr. Kelly, you're undermining the Constitution, the chain of command. If anyone has threatened the Constitution, sir, it is you. You're a delusional, narcissistic asswipe, and you should be punished for your work and your seditious behavior. You can say that it's Hegseth's fault or Trump's fault. Sir, you are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. You have a mental illness. Maybe it's the gravity of space. Maybe it's something else. You have a derangement syndrome that has led you to carry out a very seditious activity. And Mark Kelly, you should be reprimanded for that, my opinion. The military, Hegseth said, has also clear procedures for handling unlawful orders. It does not need political actors injecting doubt into an already clear chain of command. The military people aren't stupid, Mark Kelly. They know how to operate. They know when they're given an illegal command. They don't need your opinion. They don't need your thoughts. As a matter of fact, most of them don't give a rat's patootie who you are. Again, you're wrapped up in narcissism. You're wrapped up in Trump derangement syndrome. You, Mark Kelly, and your other seditious 7, including Jason Crow of Colorado, you have a mental illness going on. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. And rather than getting in front of a camera and talking about how much you want people to disobey the illegal orders, maybe you should sit down in front of a psychiatrist and find out what's gone wrong with your head and why you put your political hatred above the love of the country. That's what you need to do, Jason Crow and Mark Kelly. The bottom of the story is that the report has now been sent to the Office of General Counsel. The Department of Defense referred this investigation to the Navy. The Navy has investigated, and they have now sent their report to the Office of General Counsel. We're not exactly sure when we will know the report, if there's any recommendation for punishment, but if we do find that out during this show today, we will let you know. But the Office of General Counsel for the military and the Pentagon now has the report that has been referred to by the Navy, and we will find out if there's any punishment there. All right, what else do I have? Well, we've got lots of stories. Eric Weir is supposed to join us here, and he hasn't made it. Hopefully, he'll show up soon. Also, a programming note, producer Chad. Always works this way. We think we're all packed full. This is why we over-prepare for shows. Salvador Litvak is going to have to back out on the program today. So I think Sal is out. So that we're batting 1,000 here. Good thing I have a lot to talk about. Obnoxious Scott says Mark Kelly needs to be stripped of any of his benefits. He should be. I don't know military justice, and I don't know. But you just watch those seditious 6 people out there and the comments that they made, and you know what their intent is. And yes, they can hide behind the letter of the law that we didn't say anything, but you know the spirit of the law was wrapped up in hatred. And their heart was wrapped up in hatred. Jason Crow is delusional as a congressman from Colorado with hatred for Donald Trump. He's delusional with making good judgment because he so has to placate the radicals that power his party. He so has to work very hard, even though he may be a very reasonable man and have served his country very honorably. He has to be crazy. He has to act seditiously in order to keep the AOC wing of his party happy. That's what these people have done. Mark Kelly, Jason Crow, and all of the seditious 6 have sold their soul to the devil, meaning the devil, the radicals that run their party. They have to be seen as standing up to Trump or they will lose their perch of power. And their perch of power is much more relevant to them than being committed to patriotism and serving the country. Mark Kelly, Jason Crow, and all of these jackwagons that were on those videos are much more interested in placating the radicals in their party, making it look like they're standing up to Trump. They're much more interested in that than holding on to patriotism, and that's what you have going on in front of us now. Kelly says has to carry the poll for John McCain, the McCain crowd. Could you imagine what he would have to say if he were still with us? Yeah, John McCain. Hadn't thought of him in a long time, and rest his soul. That's all I'll say. I don't want to speak ill of the dead. You know, we missed something earlier this week. I think it's important. Delilah, you might want to pay attention to this. I meant to recognize this earlier this week because it was a day that we should commemorate. December the 11th, yesterday. If you missed it, I'm sorry. But it is the most popular day of the year to break up with your partner, particularly if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Based on data from Facebook, it's when people change their relationship status. More people change their relationship status on Facebook, in a relationship, married to, on and around December the 11th than any other time throughout the calendar year. Now, some people say that the reason it happens this time of year is that money's tight, and if you break up at the right moment, you can consider not getting them a gift. In other words, even though you may want to rebound and rehook up and re-meet with him in January, February, March and say, you know, I've had my second thoughts and I really missed you and I missed you the entire time. If you break up now, you can hope for the rebound later, and you can avoid, it's kind of like laying off a gift recipient. You're not going to get your Christmas bonus, but I will come back and re-talk in January, February. December 11th is the magical day, and days in and around that are also strong. 15 years ago, researchers started using the Facebook stats when people are most likely to change their status from in a relationship to single. And the biggest spike is December 11th. And ever since December 11th, that was yesterday, has been considered breakup day in America. A more recent study using a dating app called, I've never heard of it, Flirtini. Delilah, have you heard of Flirtini? Like martini, but like flirt. Like flirting, yeah, don't even tell me. Found that 3 of 4 online daters have experienced a breakup during the Christmas season. So it's not just on December 11th, it's on and around this day people are breaking up. And people think that the most common day for breakups, it's close to the holidays. It's not too close for it to be cruel. It's not like, you know, it's Christmas Eve and you dump up. It's far enough away. Maybe you already met their family at Thanksgiving, or maybe you put that off. You got to meet their family at Christmas, and you just need some space. Also, conversations around Christmas can make relationships, according to surveys, feel more serious. And you're like, I'm not sure I'm ready to get serious. Suddenly you're plotting traditions, and suddenly you're planning activities, and you're planning to spend time with her family out of town or his family out of town. You're like, this is getting real serious. Other popular breakups are late March, and then the Tuesday before Valentine's Day, which has been known as Red Tuesday. So some people do choose, Valentine's Day. That's going to cost me a fortune. Usually it costs the man a fortune. It's like Mother's Day, cost the man a fortune. Father's Day, we get an oven mitt and say Merry Christmas. That's what we get. On the plus side, if you do get dumped this week, you're going to just know you're not alone. There are some other fresh faces out there in the dating scenes in coming week, and there's going to be some available people. So if you got dumped this week, you're not alone. Deal with it. Suck it up, Buttercup. Your tasting Christmas gifts was probably too expensive, or he or she had a lack of commitment. They didn't want to be with you. But yeah, this is the big breakup week in America. So if anybody got dumped this week, let us know. Would love to have you know. Highway Living says on YouTube, well, that sucks. December 11th is my birthday. Not a good stat to start with. Well, it's a great stat. If yesterday was the breakup day and it was your birthday, by the way, happy birthday, and nobody broke up with you, then you have nothing to be fretful about. Be very happy that December 11th is a breakup day and you didn't get broken up with. I think that's a very key thing. All right, I want to ask you a question, a very serious question. We're going to do a question of the day. I do have a question of the day. And I got news. Anybody remember the name Kyle Rittenhouse? The young man back in the George Floyd riots that they tried to take. Remember Kyle? Well, we'll got a story about Kyle Rittenhouse here in just a second. But I want to remind you, I asked a very serious question earlier this week. Every day and every moment we get together, I oftentimes give you opportunities to give to a charity above my shoulder, Rivers Promise. And of course, if you watched last week, you know I was doing the show from Rwanda, doing the Lord's work at Legacy Christian Academy. And oftentimes I say $30 does this, $65 does this, $10 buys a new uniform. I give you these little increments, and some people say, yeah, that's great. And you do the little things. I love it. Do the little things. Keep doing it. And then I know there's other people out there that aren't challenged by that. They're not that excited about it. They're like, $30. Not even worth my time to write a check for $30. And rather than thinking I could write the check for $300, they just, that's not a big enough need for me. So I have a big need that I presented earlier this week, and we're doing quite well. We haven't hit our goal yet, but I'm going to throw it out there again. I am looking for, and I'm talking about looking for immediately, 15 people. 15 families, 15 individuals, 15 businesses, I don't care how they break down, that will make a one-time donation to Rivers Promise, one-time year-end donation of $1,950, $1,950. And you say, why that amount? Well, first of all, it's a good year, and I like it. No, that's not why. The amount I'm coming up with $1,950 is $65 a kid for a month, takes care of that kid's school fees, food, nutrition, health insurance, all the things they get. And we have classrooms are based on 30 people. And that's 65 times 30. It's $1,950. And I would like 15 people. And I think at last look, we need about 11 more people to do this. Some people have done part, and I'm totaling them all together in my head. But $1,950. If you're a person that $1,950 is not a dollar amount that scares you, and maybe when I say $30, you're like, I don't even remember that because it's so small. It doesn't mean you're the richest dude or person or woman in the world. It just means that you have a little bit more set aside, and you've got year-end giving set aside. But I would like to ask you $1,950. And if we could get more of you to do that, 15 people, at least 15 people to do that, that will take a lot of the pressure off that we feel on our day-to-day operations. Our food costs have been enormous, and I'm going to be honest, we're a small organization. Let's just say that. And every week is a grind, every month is a grind. And I wear a hat because it makes my hair fall out. It's what it does. But if you could do it, I appreciate it. I know a couple of you have done that. Obnoxious Scott, as obnoxious as he is, he did that. He was the first one up to the bat, and that's a wonderful thing. And usually I wouldn't say be like Scott, but I'd say be like Scott today. If you're $1,950, and what you're doing is you're making sure kids are taken care of in their classroom, their fees are paid, everything's handled for them, the pressure's off. One whole month they go. And so, you get to do the math. That's more than a year of operations for one classroom. And so if you could help us, go to the website today, riverspromise.org. If you prefer to mail a check, there's an address at the bottom. Put that check in the mail. But if you can make the donation online, if you do mail a check, we'd ask you to send us an email and say, check's in the mail. That way we can start counting it against our goal. And that way we know when we hit it. So $1,950. If you can help us today, one-time gift, end of year, we would appreciate it. Riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. All right, Mark Kelly, it sounds like looking at some of the comments coming in, a lot of you have no love lost for Mark Kelly. I'm not exactly sure what the Navy report is going to have. It could be say he's going to get a harshly worded letter. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe nothing. Maybe they're going to say he was, well, I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to watch and see. But the Navy has now submitted the report on any possible punishment, and it's at the General Counsel's Office of the Pentagon and waiting for it to be reviewed. So the Navy has submitted a report, and now the General Counsel's Office will find out if there's going to be a punishment or not. We'll find that out in the coming days. So everybody stay tuned. But again, I think the heart of the matter is that the heart of the matter is that Mark Kelly intended to do damage, and he's deranged by Trump derangement syndrome. All right, I mentioned Kyle Rittenhouse. Everybody remember Kyle? Oh, Kyle Rittenhouse. Maybe remember Kyle. He has announced that he got married, that he was the young conservative that got in trouble for couple of years ago in the chaotic Black Lives Matters riots in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Way back in 2020, at just 17, he was thrust into a life or death situation where violent rioters were attacking him. He was armed with an AR-15 for protection while helping guard local businesses. Again, 17-year-old. Rittenhouse defended himself against multiple assailants, one of whom pointed a gun at him. He was charged with 2 reckless counts of murder, 1 of attempted murder, and 2 counts of reckless endangerment. After a highly publicized trial, Rittenhouse was acquitted on all charges in 2021. The jury recognized his actions as self-defense, affirming the God-given right to protect one's life. In his announcement on X, Rittenhouse has now posted photos with his bride and reflected on past experiences and trying to directly use his unwavering and announce his unwavering support for gun rights. He said, I support the Second Amendment on Twitter because without it, I would not be here today. In 2020, when I was 17, I was put in a situation where violent criminals attacked me, struck me in the head multiple times, and even pointed a gun in my face. He said, I am no hero, but I had no choice to do what I did. And ladies and gentlemen, let me show you the amazing little wedding photos that he has put up. There's Kyle Rittenhouse right there. Has gotten hitched, and there he is posing with his gun. He's now 22. He was 17 back in the time of trauma and trial in his life. And here is another one, my friends, Mr. Kyle Rittenhouse getting married, getting hitched with his bride. Looks like she has some little artwork on her arm. Well, I thought she had some on her leg as well, but it's going to be very interesting to see how they marry. He says he's back in the game on activism. He's pro Second Amendment. Without it, he would not have been spared. He'd be dead today, not be able to get married. So congratulations to Mr. Kyle Rittenhouse today. All right, National Breakup Day. Stacey says she saw an ex-boyfriend of hers got dumped recently. Poor guy. Got dumped. Yeah, it's just the dumping season. If you're going to dump somebody, if you've got some loser hanging around or somebody that has expensive taste and you don't want to have to buy their Christmas gift, you got to get the breaking up now. If you wait too close to Christmas, it just seems like you're cruel and unusual. But, you could use the Thanksgiving, say, we got just, I'm not ready to be this. I don't know what your excuse is. What's your best? That's going to be a whole line, a whole show. Question of the day, what's your best breakup line? It's not you, it's me. That's always a favorite, your best breakup line. But yeah, this is the breakup season. So if you got someone, Jeff says, lucky me, I guess I survived the relationship cuts this season. Jeff, don't push your luck. The season's not over. I didn't say always on December 11th. It's iffy. You be careful out there. You guys be very, very iffy out there. So, breakup season. And what else does somebody say? Oh, Mark Kelly. There was a comment on Mark Kelly I want to see. I'm scrolling. I don't see all the comments that come in. Producer Chad screens them, and I don't. Anyways, Mark Kelly had a close encounter. I'd like to see his MRI. That'd be good. Maybe he did. He came in contact with some alien force out there and screwed up his brain. But we'll find out what comes of that. We shall find out. All right, this is a topic that I want to get to. And again, Sal Lidback was supposed to be with us. He had to bail here just during the show, and I got a message from him. Eric Weir also. So you're getting me vamping and pontificating. This is why you always come to the prepared show, even because sometimes guests bail out on you at the very last minute. So I've had 2 bail out. Sherry Crease coming up here in just a moment. But there's something going on in America that I think is quite fascinating. Robert F. Kennedy has brought and I guess crystallized a discussion and an argument of just asking us, could we maybe rethink what we have always been told? For some reason, we are skeptical, and I don't know if it's because the media makes it sound like we're stupid if we do it. The big pharmaceutical companies play a big part in funding television and news. That's why you see all these advertisements from everything from advertisements from people singing Ozempic to sitting in bathtubs, separate bathtubs, holding hands, looking at the sunset while they're waiting for their Viagra or their Cialis to kick in. You remember all the commercials? They fund a lot of television. And I'm not sure if the big pharma's involvement in television advertising is what it is that causes us to be demonized if we're daring to rethink what big pharma does to our American culture and our healthcare system. And so there's been a lot of us that for many years have questioned some of the vaccine, what we'd call the orthodoxy. This is what we do. This is a schedule, and by God. Well, who set the schedule? Why did that come about? It's kind of like some of us question the COVID-19 booger cootie shot. Some of us question. You say, don't question that. You are denying science. And even Dr. Fauci, the little effer, comes out and says, I am science. And you are always kind of on the outside looking in. If you dare to just raise a question, not that you said you shouldn't get a vax, not that you said you should avoid all of them, but maybe you should write your own schedule. Maybe you should say, why was a newborn baby within 24 to 48 hours of life given a hepatitis B shot that really was designed for hookers and prostitutes and drug users? Why? And we already know if the mother has hepatitis B, they've already been screened for it. So there's just some questions. You say, maybe that's not the best use of it. And maybe if you can prove they need it, maybe it doesn't need to be within 24 hours of birth. But we've always been kind of told, don't question science. Dr. Fauci and other little minions like him have always decided to schedule. And they decide to schedule. And for some reason, we have unwavering and unquestioning reliability on their schedule. Well, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s Department of Health and Human Services is questioning some of this, and they're saying, let's review this. Let's find out which of it is good science, which of it is bad. And the pediatric world, why are we doing this? And could there be some tie between some of the cocktails of vaccinating people too young? Matter of fact, there's other countries that are civilized and very prosperous countries that don't allow any vaccines really within the first 24 to 48. Their schedule doesn't start till a kid is 3, 4, 5, or 6. In other words, do that just as a baby pops down the birthing canal and we start jabbing them with needles. And so all Robert F. Kennedy Jr. asks is, why are we doing this? And so the committee voted last week to stop recommending hepatitis B shots at birth, and instead wait 2 months to inoculate babies born to mothers who test. So they didn't say get rid of it. They said, hey, let's not do it at birth. Let's wait 2 months before the baby gets the shot, especially for the mother who's tested negative. That's all he did. That's all he did. He said, let's wait 2 months. The new committee, he said he doesn't like the hepatitis B shot. No, they said, let's put on a different timeline. President Trump cheered the move and directed by Health and Human Services to speed up the review of the U.S. vaccine schedule in general, compare it with peer developed countries and the scientific evidence that informs the practices there. Maybe we can learn something from Japan. Maybe we can learn something from Europe. They're not beholden to the big pharmaceutical companies. They don't allow advertising. Their media groups are not funded by and salaries paid for big anchors because they're getting big dollars, millions and billions of dollars of advertising dollars. And so that's all they've done. Robert Malone identified Driscoll Children's Hospital in Texas as now having removed they're starting to remove doctors. Basically, they're starting to cancel the doctors on this committee. Just the News heard the same employer from a Health and Human Services source in contact with the Independent Medical Alliance reached a member of the Milhone at the conference. At the bottom line, I put the story up. It's at justthenews.com. But basically, what you're seeing is retribution for any of these doctors that are questioning the schedule that has come out with the big pharma that conflicts with what big pharma wants. Again, what did you know about that hepatitis B vaccine? Did you know that vaccine was invented for drug users and prostitutes and people that are sexually active? Did you know that mothers that give birth are tested for hepatitis B? And if a baby is born, all the new recommendation, you probably didn't even hear this. You said they've recommended not giving the vaccine at birth. Well, what they did is said, let's push it back a couple months. The baby's not going to be sharing needles in the first 2 months of life. The baby's not going to be whoring itself out in the first 2 months of life like a prostitute working the street corner. So maybe if you want to vaccinate the kid against that hepatitis B virus, why don't we just wait a couple of months, let their immune system, let them adjust to being out in the real world? And that was all that was recommended. And a lot of these doctors are being canceled in their culture and canceled at conferences because they dared they dared to recommend something. Pediatric cardiologist Kirk Milhone has been let go from his job because of the crime. He chaired the vaccine committee. That he was in charge of this committee that recommended it. Pretty clear message that what they're telling you in the pharmaceutical industry is if you work with Trump, you work with RFK, they will attempt to destroy you professionally. That's what you're having happening out there. It's important you pay attention to it because you were lied to about the booger cootie virus COVID vaccine. And if you were lied to about that, don't you think it's possible that maybe there's some other things that we should look at? The orthodoxy of COVID in 2020 proved to be false. The whole mask thing, the social distancing thing, that was the orthodox. That was you got to do this because that's what you're supposed to do. And then suddenly you find out it's fake, it's false, it's not right. And you figure out that that's not, that was all fake. And so if a lot of that in 2020 was fake, could it be that there's other things that could be adjusted in the vaccine schedule moving forward, and maybe we could just make some adjustments? And I would bet when you read about the hepatitis B vaccine, and I heard about it when I was in Africa, you didn't hear that they didn't cancel it for kids. They just said, let's push it back 2 months. Did you hear that part? You probably didn't. You probably did not hear that part. Murray McMurray says the pharma industrial complex has hijacked the true form of the art and science of common sense healthcare, the best in the world, through hypochondriac propaganda and litigation fear. Yeah. And again, remember, any pharmaceutical company can put a vaccine, if they call it a vaccine, on the market, and they have been they're bubbles. They're in bubbles now from having anything of for any kind of legal action. They cannot be held responsible. Well, what if there's myocarditis? What if there's this? What if the hepatitis B shot given at an early age, along with other things, that could trigger the immune system and auto responses and end up with an autistic? Could it be? Don't even ask that question. Big Pharma said it's okay. And some of you worship at the feet of Big Pharma. Politicians worship at the feet of Big Pharma in a very pathetic way. It's an interesting story. The people that are just simply asking to rethink the vaccine schedule. There's a lot to learn from Japan and how Japan handles the vaccines. And I think they do a much better job on their schedule and recommendations of what they do to newborns than we do here in America. And that's all Robert F. Kennedy said. Let's study other countries, other peer countries, other developed countries, and find out what they're doing. And then ask yourself, why are we doing something different? Could it be we're doing something different because we're controlled by the big pharmaceuticals and their campaign donations and their contribution to television and the advertising that you see there, therefore. So because I talk about this stuff, it's probably a shine that Pfizer's never going to sponsor my shows, ever, because I question stuff. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that prostitute their careers out and don't talk about true journalism, also that they can get the big spots on the big channels, but hey, they don't talk about that because pharma is one of the sponsors. So you don't want to do that. All right, one more quick opportunity for you. I mentioned this earlier this week for Rivers Promise. I just got back and we're wrapping up our year-end giving, and I'd like to ask you this, that a lot of times I do $30 here, $15 here, $20, 65 sponsor kit, etc. I'm asking for 15 people that will make a year-end contribution of $1,950 one time. And this it's amazing how this bigger number sparks some of you that didn't ever get sparked on the smaller number. We love the smaller gifts. We love them. Thank you very much. But that basically helps us operate that classroom for an entire 30 days. And it helps us with that. It takes the cost of it, and we can spread that out. And so $1,950. So just less than $2,000. We're asking for 15 people that will do that. And at last look, we need about 11 more. And so if you can help us, $1,950, you can go to the address on the screen, Rivers Promise, or you can mail us a check. The address is on the website as well. But we're looking for about 11 more people that would do $1,950 one-time end-of-year gift. And if you can get that in, that would be great. Now, we're still receiving money for those of you buying the Christmas shoes and the gifts and stuff like that. Don't forget that. Don't think that we've given up on that. $25 for a pair of Christmas shoes for the kids. Their party's coming up in next Friday, so 1 week. We've got 1 week to get all that money together. So if you still want to do the Christmas gift, $19.50 out of your range, but you still want to do a pair of shoes, $25 for a pair of shoes. Help us throw the kids a Christmas party, and it's always a great thing. It's really the only party, the Christmas party around, and it's a big deal because, again, these are very poor kids, and they love. We give them cake and ice cream, and they get to wear Santa hats and hear the Christmas story, and they get to sing Christmas songs in English, and they love it. And it's a great time of just letting them feel like forget the poverty that they live in sometimes as they head home for a couple of weeks for Christmas. So Friday, December 17th is going to be a big Christmas party. 19th, excuse me, if you'd like to donate right now to the Christmas drive, it's $25. But we do want about 11 more people that will donate a one-time end-of-year gift for $1,950, and that will help us make up any gaps we have this year, and it will help us have some padding as we head into next year. So appreciate it, riverspromise.org, and the address is on the website as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Sherry Cree was with us on Monday, and she's with us again on Friday. And I'm so excited. I'm so fascinated every time she comes on because she always says something that I repeat like all week. And one of the things I repeated all week from Sherry was that if you're going to think about the spring season for buying or selling, do the early spring if you can, not the later spring. And Sherry Cree joins us here again. Sherry, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jimmy.
Nice to have you here. I love that you said that because I've been trying to think of a way to say that because I've heard for years that if you're going to sell in the spring, people think spring is April, May, and June. There's an earlier action point. If a lot of activity happens in, let's say, February and March, I'll let you talk about those two seasons of spring.
Yeah, like this year, 2025, I sold 2 homes side by side in the same neighborhood. And then one, they consulted with me year prior, like 9 months prior with their plan. It's a sale associated with retirement to go to somewhere they dream of living. And then they put a house on the market in March. And then we had multiple offers, sold it for like $50,000 more than the list price. And then they referred me to the next door neighbor. And then he couldn't get the house ready to hit the market, although I advised him, let's put it on the market now. That was already in like late April, beginning of May. And he didn't have his act together to get the house on the market. So we hit the market at the end of May, which is Memorial Day weekend. That is when the buyer activities slow down heading into the summer break. And we didn't have the same response from the market. It was showing here, showing there, no offers for a long time. So it was a dramatically different market response.
Because a lot of people just naturally think, well, when the kids get out of school, that's when I'll do it. You got to be ahead of the game. And think of that. In March, the person listed and they sold their house $50,000 above the listing price. There was a bidding war for that house. And just 2 months later, 45 days later, the guy you can't get an offer to save their life.
Price reduction towards the end of summer.
You had to do price reduction. So he got less. That could have been a $75,000, $100,000 loss for that person because they just waited too long.
Definitely.
Now, you said you advise this guy to get it ready quicker. That's something people could do right now. Christmas, I know, is here, and there are boxes everywhere, Christmas tree. I can't show my house now, Sherry. But, hey, you can start giving them the things to do so that they can be ready for that first spring window. What are some of the things that are most common? You walk into a home and you say, this is you got to fix this.
Well, first thing I recommend as a listing agent is a pre-listing inspection. And this is not the full inspection the buyer performs, but we only bring the professionals in a certain components of the house, the critical components, structural. If you have a big crack on the wall that you want to have structural engineer look at it and then have an estimate how you address that before you put it on the market, and then buyer try to negotiate. You have a crack on a wall, or like a roof. So the three major components, the big ticket item that house could have issue when you're selling the house, putting on the market, is the roof and HVAC system, furnace and AC, and then sewer line. Those are the three major items, components of the house. And as a seller, before you price it, before you put it on the market, you need to have those three items inspected. And then if there's an issue, the roof needs to be replaced, you cannot sell the property because the buyer cannot get the property insurance when they own it. So my biggest recommendation is to inspect pre-market major components of the house, so you're clear understanding of what you're selling and then what issues are, and then fix them before you put on the market.
There's a lot of roofs, I think, in Colorado are going to be problematic in the future years, because I know after a couple of roof replacements in my house because of hail, my new insurance policy doesn't do full replacement value. And there's probably a lot of people sitting under a roof that needs to be replaced, but because it's not full replacement value with the new insurance, they're going to put that off till the very end because they don't have the percentage of dollars that they have to pay for that replacement value of that roof in Colorado anymore. Is that going to be a problem for some sellers out there?
Yes. The worst thing as a seller to experience is put on the market and find the buyer, you negotiate, go under contract, and then the buyer does the inspection, and then deal fall apart. So the knowledge is power. You need to know what you're selling, and then you vet all the options how to address the issue. Insurance is a big issue. That's why a lot of the attached homes, HOA and condo are, the townhouse and condo with HOA are having a hard time selling, because the HOA covers the structural insurance, property insurance, and HOA dues are skyrocketed because of that. Insurance is a big separate but related issue. That's another topic.
Yeah, you talked about that first buying season, selling season, and the two sellers together. One got $50,000 above asking price in March. One waited and ended up having to reduce their asking price by the end of summer. So it seems like if you're going to be a seller, get on the market earlier. What about buyers in 2026? Sellers need to be in that first window of opportunity. What about buyers? When's the best deal for them going to come about?
It's on the buy side. I believe it's more what's best for you timing wise. If you're ready to buy a house now and then get pre-qualified with the financing, it's a go time. And then the buyer's agent's job is to take advantage of the market conditions. And right now, a lot of the buyer's agents are flexing like, oh, I got my buyer, great deal. We negotiated the price this much down. We got all the things fixed on inspection objections. And then, we got this much concession to buy down the rate, So, the buyer's agents don't create the market, but that their job is to advise you so that you take advantage of the market conditions and have a successful purchase. So as a buyer, the worst thing is trying to time the market. Oh, the rate might go down a little bit, if I waited for another month, or inventory may increase and have more choices. I'll wait. You really can't time the market, and if you don't find anything you like, then you have an option to take more time to keep looking for the spring market when the inventory come back.
Wow. The voice of Sherry Cree. If you're listening later on the podcast, thousands of earballs will hear this show on the podcast audio only, so you don't see her website on the screen. The website is homeswithsherry.com. And especially for first-time home buyers. She's offering that consultation. Give it to your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephew, and say, call Sherry. It's my gift to you. And she can talk about how they can achieve the dream of home ownership, even in the very expensive state of Colorado. Sherry, we'll come back to that offer in a second, but I got one more question. We talk about, you can help people in the Boulder, Broomfield, Thornton, Denver area, that I-25 corridor. Are there certain areas as a real estate agent you're like, wow, that one's going to boom real quick? Now would be the time to get in that? Or do you kind of get that sense that that's going to be big? If you buy now, that's going to be a good investment. Do you ever get that sense of a certain area or a town or development in Colorado that you kind of can predict this would be a good time to buy there?
Yeah, so the real estate sales movements are very micro market. So not even just, the municipal boundaries. Certain neighborhoods are acting, the markets are acting differently than others. So it is important to, there's no like an easy answer like, hey, you should buy a house in Boulder because Boulder has a great deal right now. It's not like that. But you really need to match your needs, your wants, and then what you plans to do with the house. You work with your buyer's agent to determine where's the best place for you to invest in your home. So so answering to your questions, I don't have any specific tips for let's look into this city. But can I add one more thing about this holiday season? So the holiday season is when you get together with the family, maybe not so close family, and then that's the time that you slow down. You spend time with your family, and then slow down, and then think of how what's your important to your life. And a lot of residential real estate clients that I work with, their motivation for selling or buying is never just like, oh, this is the great market, so I'm going to do this. Versus it's always tied into your life, dreams and priorities. So I work a lot with the seniors and the retirees, and then their motivation is always to be close to grandkids, and so they don't miss out on being a grandpa, grandma. So this holiday season, if I can share my message to you, is pay attention to seniors in your family when you get together or when you talk on the phone, and then also not just to your family, but seniors in the community. So I just shared there's some municipal program to fund low-income seniors who owns the home when their furnace goes down. Typically seniors are retired, so they're typically not high income, and then they own the home. When the furnace goes down, they might be in a difficult place financially to take care of, or you need to modify your home with the handlebars or ramp to go up and down with the wheelchair. So my message this holiday season is please pay attention to seniors in your family and in your community. It could be your neighbor, it could be somebody that how they're doing. And then there are resources available to help them. Most of the seniors, when they're in financial trouble, they're ashamed, so they don't share that. And then you don't know they don't have any food in the fridge. So please do that.
Yeah. And it's also, I guess, if you're with your grandma, your aunts, your uncles, the elderly in your family, maybe they don't know, maybe they'd love to move closer, they'd like to downsize, but they don't know where to start. They can start by saying, hey, why don't you call my friend Sherry Cree? And you love walking the seniors and the families through that process. And sometimes the closest relatives are far away. I've told stories about you helping people, the kids that were still here in America, here in Colorado, but the kids are far away. Holidays can be a great time to just have a conversation and let that elderly person who maybe is afraid to ask for help or ask for advice, start the conversation. Maybe they are ready to downsize, or maybe they do need some maintenance on their home, and maybe they want to talk to Sherry Cree.
Yeah, and then I have my friends buying a multi-generational homes to bring the parents, to Colorado to live with them. They currently live in Florida, and they buying multi-generational home with a little bit separate in-law quarter, we call it. And then, planning to help parents being closer.
Yeah. It's a great season to reflect on what's important to you. Maybe family is that key thing that you're like, I'm too far from my family. And maybe you can't move closer to them. Maybe they can move closer to you. But it's a great time to just evaluate and say, yeah, I love this time with my family. I wish we got to do it more often. Real estate could be the way you do that. Multifamily, you get the idea. Sherry knows all of the parts of the game, and she'll walk you through it. And it's not about one city. It's a very micro areas. I mean, it's just very, very specific to neighborhoods for the best for you. Reach out to her, homeswithsherry.com. And as I said, I know it's holiday and everybody's busy, but now's the time to just have the conversation, talk to Sherry, and maybe you want to talk to her before. So you're going to recommend her to grandma, but you want to at least say you met her, get in touch with Sherry and do that. homeswithsherry.com. Sherry, anything? We'll talk again next week. I know it's busy season for you, but you're ready to take some calls and give some advice and get people ready, at least in a position to make their dreams come true in 2026.
Yes, absolutely. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it. Make it happen with Sherry, homeswithsherry.com. All the information is on our website, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. It's good information. You think of that. The elderly sometimes are not, I've gone through with my mother, realizing a while she needed help, and she was resistant too. And then it got to the point where she couldn't resist anymore. But sometimes just having someone like Sherry to say, I know it's tough to downsize. You don't want to think about the moving and the repairs, but Sherry can kind of walk you through, and she'll take some of that burden from you and make it happen. So homeswithsherry.com, and real estate is something to consider this holiday season as everybody gets together. Maybe the kids are coming home from college. My son's come home from college now. And I always say, I live in too big a house for just me. Now he's home, and I'm like, I live in too big of a house for just him and I. It's, but in Colorado's it's a whole different story. Downsizing is it's expensive here, so I might as well stay where I'm at. Anyway, homeswithsherry.com, that's your website. Reach out to her, homeswithsherry.com. If it's not for you, reach out to her on behalf of your grandparents, your parents, your kids, first-time buyers, or maybe it's their last move they're going to make. homeswithsherry.com. All right, I want to remind you, my friends, that it's Friday. It's the 12th day of December. We'll be back here Monday morning. We're going to do the stolen memes section of the show. Don't forget, thousands of earballs will hear this show by the end of the excuse me. I'm almost done with this. Thousands of earballs will hear this show by the end of the day today, and we'd love to hear from each of you. And pleased to have you a part of the show. If you're maybe listening, you only caught part of the show and you want to go back in time. First of all, you always rewatch the platforms that were on for the video, but you can also listen to the show on iHeart, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, anywhere that fine podcasts are pervaded. They have this podcast. Just look up Jimmy Lakey Unleashed, and you can hear me later in the day as well. Somebody was posting a moment ago about Trump pardoning Tina Peters. And we covered that earlier in the show. And they quote the tweet by from a Twitter feed that this is putting the Democrats in a no-win position. What it does, I think, and I need to read what the tweet they're talking about. I think this Tina Peter pardoned by Trump, it puts the Democrats in a place that says, it raises the national level and say, if this person didn't commit a crime. Now, some people have Trump derangement syndrome. We talk about Mark Kelly, Jason Crow. These people have gone bat crap crazy. They need psychiatrists more than they need elections, and they need to get mental help for their craziness. And so there's some people that just because she was a Trump supporter, they have such evil in their heart that they want somebody like Tina Peters locked away because they're evil people on the inside. But when you look at the merits of the case, you have to say, man, in a state where we let criminals walk the streets, rapists, murderers, many time offenders walk the street, we let criminals come back into this country after deporting them 3 or 4 times and still complain that we're deporting them again, and yet you lock up someone like Tina Peters. I think what it does is illustrates the absurdity and the evil in the heart of people like Jared Polis and Jenna Griswold. I think it illustrates the point of going, Notice no federal prosecutor. Even under the Joe Biden administration, the federales didn't see anything that Tina Peters did wrong. I know she was a state employee, worked for a county inside a state, but even the Joe Biden, the Justice Department, was looking far and wide for people to bring federal charges against, and they couldn't find anything that Tina Peters did wrong and didn't pursue anything. But Jared Polis and Jenna Griswold decided that they were going to do, and they pursued some very nasty ramifications for Tina. And I think it illustrates the absurdity of the Democrat Party. I think it illustrates the evilness in the heart of these people. I think it illustrates they have Trump derangement syndrome, and they couldn't get the orange man. Colorado politicians like Jenna Griswold, like Jared Polis, couldn't get Jared Polis off the ballot, Donald Trump off the ballot. Remember, these were the jackwagons, the first in America. In Colorado, we were the first ones to attempt to kick Donald Trump off the ballot. That was Jenna Griswold. That was Jared Polis. They hate freedom. They don't like people to have the ability to vote for the candidate of their choice. So they wanted to make a political move and block Donald Trump from the ballot. They got shot down by the Supreme Court for being the unconstitutional jackasses that they are. They got shut down. And so I think what you have with Tina Peters is it exposes to me that they couldn't get their hands on Donald Trump. They couldn't kick him out of office. They couldn't get him jailed for the rest of his life. They couldn't even keep him off the ballot in Colorado, even though they tried so hard. And so what Jenna Griswold is doing and what Jared Polis are doing is they're taking out their hatred and their Donald Trump fetishes and their vindictiveness against Donald Trump. They're taking it out against Tina Peters. That's what they're doing. Was there something that Tina Peters did right? Yes. Was there something maybe could have been done differently? Maybe. I don't know all the ins and outs of the cases. But why they're making Tina Peters an example, and why they're locking Tina Peters up, and why they will not allow any consideration of just kindness and mercy towards Tina Peters and all the issues that she's facing in prison as an elderly woman who's sacrificed it for her country as a Gold Star family, why they won't consider anything more kind to Tina Peters is because they are using Tina Peters as the punching bag that they couldn't make Donald Trump. They couldn't keep Donald Trump out of Colorado. They couldn't keep Donald Trump out of the White House. They couldn't keep him off the ballot. And so all of their angst and all of their defeats and all of the retribution they had aimed at Donald John Trump, they're aiming all of that hatred and that derangement to Tina Peters right now. And I hope it exposes who they are. It exposes who they are and the evil that's in their heart. And that's what you got to know. We got a comment there. As many are saying, there's no reason to withhold Colorado voter data from federal investigation. And Griswold is hiding something. Yeah, Griswold has been a pain. She got sued by Judicial Watch a few years ago for not cleaning up the voter rolls here. The federales have said, could we see your voter rolls? And let's make sure they're all in alignment. And Jenna Griswold saying no to that as well. Jenna Griswold has been found to be very protective of voter rolls for a reason we don't know. And Judicial Watch is the one that originally started a lawsuit many years ago. But again, their Tina Peters is the punching bag because they tried to take it out on Trump. They tried to keep Trump out of the White House. This is the person that tried to keep Trump off the ballot. And Jenna Griswold failed at keeping Trump off the ballot. And so she wants, she's taking that hatred and she's redirecting it toward Tina Peters because that's all she could get her hands on. All right. Somebody says, Jimmy, I thought the same thing. When lefties are so vicious towards Peters, one cannot help but think Tina's innocent. It's the modus operandi, the MO. Yeah, it is. Again, think of how they hated Trump. This is a state that really wanted to this is the state that tried to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. We were the first one. Jenna Griswold was it. They couldn't get Trump off the ballot, and they're angry. They're hateful. They're filled with hate and retribution. They're possessed by a spirit that's not of this planet, in my opinion. They're oppressed or possessed by evil in their heart. And since they couldn't get Donald Trump and the Trump derangement syndrome couldn't be taken out on him, they decided to give their 40 lashes and the punishment over to Tina Peters. That's what they did. And yeah, let us not forget, Jeff mentions that Jenna Griswold, the Secretary of State here, is the one, by the way, that had a leak of passwords suddenly. A lot of passwords got leaked to our voting machines. They're impenetrable. Nobody could ever. Jenna Griswold pretty much published the passwords. Yeah. Yeah, but, Tina Peters is the bad person. Glad to have you here. Everybody happy? Good. Merry Christmas. I want to remind you one more time. Will somebody step up today? $1,950, $1,950. I know that's out of some of your range. I get it. And God bless you. Do 25. 25, our Christmas party for the kids is 1 week from today at Legacy Christian Academy. I've got photos popping in. Today was Teacher Appreciation Day on the campus. The kids celebrated their teachers today. Wonderful. Next Friday, we're going to celebrate the Christmas spirit. It's going to be the time that kids get to hear the Christmas story. They get to have Christmas gifts. All of these things that are going to happen at our school in 1 week from today. And a small little thing that you could do is $25 buys a pair of shoes for kids. This is the shoes they get for the year. We replace them as needed, but it's $25 for a pair of shoes. If you'd like to help with that, go to riverspromise.org and do that. Riverspromise.org. Every increment of $25 will buy a pair of shoes for the kids at the Christmas party. We appreciate you. Today's the day to do that, so the money hits the account. We can get it transferred over. I'm not delivering it on an airplane, so you give us as much time as you can. If you can do it today, some of you get paid today, some of you get paid Monday the 15th. $25 buys a kid a pair of shoes at Legacy Christian Academy. It also lets them celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior. And for many times, many of them are going to hear and celebrate Christmas for the first time. Christmas in a poor area is not like it is here. This is for many. This is the first time they're going to actually feel a Christmas celebration. They're going to know the joy of giving or receiving a gift. Can you imagine if you've lived your whole life, you're 8, 9, 10 years old, and you never knew the joy of waking up on Christmas morning with a gift? And that's part of your childhood memory. That's part of our lexicon. That's part of our identity. These kids have never had that. Many of these kids, most of these kids, outside of the gift that we hand them next Friday, have never received a Christmas gift. Never. Some of them will write and say, this year we are celebrating Christmas and we had some extra beans. But they don't get the joy of it. And the joy of the celebration of Christmas is really about remembering the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and the greatest gift of all time. And so next week, we're going to celebrate that with the kids. You can help us, $25. Now, I am asking, and I'm going to do this one more time today, then we'll do the meme roulette. For anybody who can, if you can do a bigger number, I'm looking for 15 people that will do $1,950. That will take care of a classroom's education, their food, their insurance. That will take care of a family, or a child for 1 month, 30 kids. So it's not just one kid's a pair of shoes. That's important. $25, great. If that's what you can do, do it. God bless you for doing it. If you have a pair of shoes, we'll figure it out. But if you can do the $1,950, you're taking the heat or the pressure off an entire classroom that we have to fund, and we fund every month at Legacy Christian Academy, and we'll make that, whether we do this as one class for 15 months or whether every class is sponsored now for 12, we'll figure it out. But we're looking for 15 people that will really take some of the pressure off of our fundraising as we launch the first of the year. And so we'd appreciate your help in doing that. If you can do the $1,950, I need about 11 more people that will do that in the course of today, this weekend, Monday. Let us know if you're planning to it. Let us know if you're praying about it. Let us know if we can answer any questions about it. It's $1,950. That takes care of 30 kids, an entire classroom for 1 complete month. $1,950. And if you can't do that, don't fret. Don't give yourself condemnation. Do what you can if you feel so led. $25 helps us throw that Christmas party for the kids. Again, Christmas for them, different than what it is for us. And a lot of kids have never received a Christmas. Our kindergartners that I met, our first group of kindergartners, guarantee you, all 30 of them have never had a Christmas gift given to them in their life. Next week, they're going to get a pair of shoes. And for those kids, a pair of shoes is like they got a computer. They walk barefoot. And when they get shoes, they love it. It's a great thing. So go to riverspromise.org. Do what you can. I've said enough about it, and you do what you feel so led to do. $1,950, big number. $25, $5. You figure it out. Either end of the spectrum. We appreciate it. It all goes to the kids. All right. You know what this means? It means it's the meme roulette. This is where we steal memes, stolen memes section of the show. We go around the world, around the internet, around the Twitter and the Instagram, looking for intellectual property that we can hijack and make you giggle and think about. So here we go, the stolen memes section of the show. Here we go. We go round and round the globe. We go where we steal the memes from. No one knows. Michigan has tapped Marco Rubio as the interim head coach. Marco Rubio gets all the jobs. Hey, who's running USAID? Marco Rubio. If I quit the show tomorrow, he'd probably be named the host of the show. Marco Rubio, interim head coach. That's funny. Round and round, if you understand what Marco, you got to understand it. I got to explain it to some of you. At this point, half of being professional at work is just learning to restrain your sarcasm and facial expressions when people start asking ridiculous questions. Anybody feel that? Whether it's your boss or whether someone works for you or under you or with you, just control the facial expressions. Stop the sarcasm. I was very professional today. Really was. Right, Delilah? Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Happy holidays to everyone except Grandpa Joe. He sat on that bed for 20 years while his family lived in poverty, but he hopped up like a mofo to go to the candy factory. You know, that's true. I don't know what happened. I don't know if Grandpa Joe got healed. He jumped up off that thing like he had ridden on a Southwest Airlines flight. He rode in the plane on a wheelchair, but when they landed, man, he jumped off that thing, and it was called a Jesus flight. Grandpa Joe met Jesus, and he went to the candy factory. Yeah, he did. Lazy ass. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Remember wearing a beeper and pulling out the Alpine so nobody would steal it? Take the Alpine with me. Beeper. I remember the beepers. I never had one. It was before my time, but I knew people that did. Grown-ups did. I didn't. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Women, shampoo for dry and damaged hair. Men, shampoo 6-in-1 for face, body, hair, carpet, car, and dishes. That's fantastic. I've got I've done the 3-in-1. Really, I could do the car and carpet as well. Delilah, there's my Christmas gift. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. No matter how old you are, an empty Christmas paper wrapping tube is still fun to boink someone on the head with. That's true. That is true. It's kind of like, is that a guy thing? Because guys do that. You know, it's kind of like guys get the little tong things for the grill. We click them together. You just got to click them together. If you have an empty Christmas paper wrapping tube, you got to hit somebody with it. Now, when my son's not home, he's at college, I've learned that I can hit the dog with it. He doesn't think that's very funny. He looks at me like, what the hell did I do? Yeah, you're just standing there, dummy. Just standing there. Yeah, that's true. A wrapping tube is still fun to bonk people with. All right, here we go. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Every time I try to eat healthy comes along Thanksgiving. Then comes Christmas. Then comes summer. And then Friday. And then Taco Tuesday ruins it for me. Yeah. Anybody else feel that? Yeah. That's why I'm not skinnier. I'm working on it. That's my resolution for some time. I'm working on it. Got to thin myself out. Round and around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. There it is. That's the talk in China. That means we have scoured the bands of the inter-Googles, and we have we've done all the intellectual property thieving we can. Even China's upset, and they're putting a stop to it. So we're done with that. We'll do Meme Roulette again next week. All right, don't forget, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. I hope you go to that website and check it out and reach out to Sherry. And also want to remind you, riverspromise.org. Make those donations today. Again, we're looking for, you ready for this? We're looking for 15 people. Need a few more of them, but we got some of them. 15 people that can do a one-time gift of $1,009. I can do 1,000. Well, if you do 1,000 and somebody else does 1,000, we pretty much have the 1950 right there. So if you can't do the full 1950, maybe do 1,000. Maybe do the 950. Someone else. That's how we piece it together. My friends, everybody have a great weekend. If you can also help with that Christmas party, that big number scares you, do not be afraid, my friends. $25. $25. That's gonna be a blessing to some kid with shoes 1 week from today. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Hey, God. Oh, by the way, again, congratulations to Kyle Rittenhouse on his marriage. Good job, young man. Been through a lot in life. You deserve a good marriage and a good life. God bless Kyle Rittenhouse. And God bless you. I'll see you Monday morning. Don't forget, follow me on the Facebook, facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey fan page. Twitter's my name. Instagram is my name. You get the idea. Until we meet again, God bless you. God bless America. I am Jimmy Lakey. Peace. I'm out of here.